Priya had always placed her trust in Rohan, the man she'd loved fiercely for the past 6 years. Their marriage, built on laughter, long talks, and shared dreams, had weathered many storms, mostly created by the demands of Rohan's job as a software engineer. His career meant constant travel: Singapore, London, Berlin, and most recently Dubai. Each time he packed his bags, he'd reassure her with his soft smile and affectionate gestures, painting a picture of business dinners, client meetings, and long hours in front of a laptop. She believed him. She wanted to. When he left this time, he'd explained the Dubai itinerary in detail: daily conferences, networking events, tech demos, and late-night coding marathons. His stories had the familiar rhythm she'd grown used to. He'd kissed her forehead before leaving, whispered a loving, "I'll call you every night," and wheeled his suitcase out the door. The days that followed unfolded quietly for Priya. She stayed busy with work, cooked meals for one, and curled up with her favorite books at night, always answering his late-night calls with a smile, even when he sounded distracted or exhausted. "Sorry, long day," he'd often say, followed by a quick "I love you" before hanging up. Then one evening, as she lay in bed absent-mindedly scrolling through Instagram, something shattered inside her. Her thumb froze over a picture posted by an old friend, someone she hadn't spoken to in a while but still followed out of nostalgia. It was a beach photo: clear blue skies, golden sand, the kind of backdrop that didn't exist anywhere near Dubai's business hotels. And right there, in the middle of it, stood Rohan. His face, glowing under the sun, wore a carefree smile she hadn't seen in months. In one hand he held a coconut drink, the kind topped with a little umbrella. But it wasn't the drink or the scenery that made her chest tighten. It was who stood beside him. Mira, the woman who had once been her closest confidant, her college roommate, her sister in everything but blood. They had shared everything: dorm room secrets, job rejections, heartbreaks, and wedding plans. Seeing her now, standing next to Rohan with her arm brushing his, laughing with an intimacy that couldn't be mistaken, felt like a knife through the ribs. The caption stung more than the image: "Paradise found," followed by a heart emoji. At first, Priya simply stared, her mind refusing to accept what her eyes were seeing. But then curiosity and something darker took over. She clicked the tag. Another picture. Then another. One with Mira and Rohan watching a sunset together, her head leaning subtly toward him. Another of them clinking glasses at a beach bar, both wearing tropical shirts. The timestamps lined up perfectly with the dates Rohan had claimed to be drowning in meetings. Shock turned to cold clarity. The puzzle pieces of the past few months started to fall into place. The brief, evasive answers during calls, the weekends he claimed he needed to prep for upcoming travel, the way he'd started guarding his phone. All those things she'd brushed off with faith in his loyalty now stood out like red flags she had chosen to ignore. But Priya didn't cry. She didn't scream. She acted. The next morning, she woke early and began gathering proof. Every Instagram photo was screenshotted. Every tagged post downloaded. She printed them at a nearby photo studio, choosing glossy paper, high quality, just like Rohan always preferred when printing family photos. She returned home and began packing. Not her things, his: shirts, socks, ties, cufflinks, his favorite cologne. She folded each item neatly, as if sending him off on another business trip, only this time it wasn't one he'd come back from. She even packed the coffee mug he insisted on using every morning, the one she had gifted him on their second anniversary. Then she turned her attention to the dining room. With slow, deliberate care, she set the table as if preparing for a romantic dinner. The finest plates, polished cutlery, 2 wine glasses filled just enough to reflect the soft flicker of candlelight. But instead of food, she laid out the photographs in the center of the table, overlapping them like puzzle pieces. An exhibition of betrayal frozen in time. By midnight she was ready. When the front door opened and Rohan stepped inside, wheeling his suitcase behind him, his expression was weary. But the moment his eyes landed on the table, his body went still. His gaze swept across the candles, the wine glasses, the packed bags, and finally the photographs, each one unmistakably damning. He looked at Priya, who sat silently, her expression unreadable in the glow of the candles. His mouth opened but no words came. She didn't rise or shout. She simply looked at him with an unsettling calm and asked, "How was Dubai?" The room fell into a silence heavier than anything he could break with excuses. The guilt twisted his features before he even tried to speak. There were no confrontations. No pleas. Just the unbearable weight of truth laid bare. Rohan had left for a lie. And Priya, in her quiet strength, had already closed the chapter.